Where are you, Jay?
I'm in Sydney, Australia. Have you ever been down under before?
Yeah, but not sober.
So can I guess that you don't remember it that well?
I don't remember anything.
That must mean you had a great time.
I don't remember. I'm serious, Jay. Hey, man, I am what I am.
No complaints at all. There's no worries.
How old are you, Jay?
I'm 24, so I'm still very young. But
wow, man. You know, I retired. Well, one of many of my retirements. I retired when I was like 25 from boxing.
Oh.
Yeah.
And then, so you were 25 when you had accomplished like everything, like
yeah.
Man.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing when I retired, I didn't fight. I hadn't yet fight Fort Hagler. You know, it was just crazy, man. It was really crazy.
I can imagine.
Mm-hmm.
Ray, man, I want to be respectful of your time. I appreciate you being here today.
We okay. Okay, man. All right.
Well, everybody, welcome back to another exciting episode. And I mean, this is really exciting because I have a literal legend on the podcast today. His name, for some of you, for a lot of you, you would recognize it. Sugar Ray Leonard. He is a legendary sports icon, Olympic champion, and Hall of Famer, philanthropist, best-selling author, television personality, ringside analyst, and longtime face of Skechers' popular relaxed fit collections. Sugar Ray has established a legacy that epitomizes boxing and evokes the reverence of a champion. Leonard's illustrious career outside of the ring merits like admiration as a vanguard in the cultural movement that has brought the sport of boxing front and center today. Mr. Ray has also helms the name of Sugar Ray Leonard, the foundation, which he celebrates his 12th anniversary, I believe, in May. He committed to, that's probably a long, outdated bio, but anyway, he's committed to funding life-changing research for those people that are suffering with type 1 and type 2 diabetes. Anyway, he's got such an amazing career in boxing in the professional setting. He's done many fights that he's won. He's fought people such as Wilfred Bennett's Roberto Duran. That name would ring a bell to a lot of people as well. So many others. I could go on and on and on about all the great achievements for you, Mr. Sugar Ray Leonard. But welcome so much to the Storybox podcast today.
Jay, call me Ray, man. I'm not that old.
Okay, Ray. I do want to be respectful though. So I was brought up the right way to call people by their last name. And don't worry, my teachers still tell me, call me by my first name. And I'm like, no, I can't do it. So it's really, really a pleasure to have you here, Ray. Before we dive into your illustrious career and your backstory, how this all got started, I have one particular question that I love asking all my guests at the very, very start, which is, what does success look like to you?
Success to me, Jay, is being financially independent. It's because I come from very humbling beginnings. You know, we lived in apartments. We never had a home, never had a car that we owned or whatever. So we were like the majority of people. And my biggest dream was always to give back to my parents before they left us. And I was able to do that through boxing. Boxing became my way of saying thank you and God bless you.
Wow. So speak to me about your humble beginnings. What was it like growing up where you grew up?
I was born in Wilmington, North Carolina, and because of the income shortage, my father and my mom moved to Washington, D.C. So I went there when I was, 3 years old. And it was so different just a different place, a different time. And I don't know, I was just so naive, naturally being so young. And I recall even being beaten up by some guys, a couple guys, when I was like 8 or 9. God, man, I mean, it almost brings tears to my eyes, but it also brings me joy because, again, through boxing, through what they call a barbaric sport, and through boxing saved my life. Boxing made me who I am. Boxing allowed me now to talk to you, Jay.
Mm, exactly. Otherwise, I would never have known who Ray Leonard is.
Correct. Yes.
So what was it like when you were a young kid? You mentioned that you got beaten up. What was going through your mind when you did get beaten up?
I recall vividly, I recall running home crying. And I went into the house and I said, "Ma, some boys beat me up." And she told me the way she was raised, she said, "Don't ever come back like that again," which meant to defend myself, which means to fight back, to strike back. And that's where things kind of turned around, whereas I started to become a boxer or a fighter. Boxing saved my life.
Mm. So it's because of what your mum told you that you ended up becoming a boxer.
Don't ever give up. Don't ever give up. That's what she said. Don't ever give. My mother's tough. My mother's, she's 92 years old, feisty, strong. She gave me her determination, and that's what led me to my success in the boxing ring.
What would you say to a young person right now that is struggling with, I guess you could say, motivation or that determining drive to succeed in their own life right now?
Well, I do motivational speaking, and I love, especially talking to people about determination, all this stuff. When I speak to kids, I tell them to dream the dream, because your dreams are the window to your future. Your goals are the vehicle that takes you there. You take away those dreams, you're stuck in a room without windows. You take away those goals and you don't have a map to get to your dreams. You gotta believe. You can't let someone tell you you can't do this or you can't be that. And they will tell you because they can't do it. So I tell kids all the time, believe in yourself and make your dreams come true by getting it 100%. There are no shortcuts, Jay. There's no shortcuts to success, to win, to be the champ. No shortcuts.
You got to do the hard work. You
got to do the hard work.
Long, hard struggle. But
yes,
I always say that those challenges, actually, I've mentioned this. So don't let challenges, you don't serve challenges. Let challenges serve you, because in those challenging times, we are transforming into the person that we are meant to become. Those challenges are going to build us up. They're going to make us stronger. They're going to push us forward, even though in the moment it may not seem like it, even though in the moment it's like the most difficult, the most painful. We want to quit. We want to back out. But if we stick with it, I think a lot of young people, I don't know if you've ever experienced this, Ray, but a lot of young people, they get so close, but yet then they quit. And they say, enough's enough, I'm too tired. It's like being in a boxing ring. It's the same thing. Like I can throw in the towel whenever I want. But those people that actually continue on are the ones that will succeed in life, ultimately.
Life is a challenge. Life is a fight. And it is such a metaphor of life itself. Even business. Even relationships, you have to be a fighter. I'm not saying physically, and you understand, not saying that, but just as a fighter, the mindset, again, I say it all the time, intestinal fortitude. You have to be ready to take on to be happy. You got to fight for happiness, fight for respect. You fight for everything.
How can someone adopt this same mindset in their own life? Do they have to be a boxer to get it, or how can they adopt it?
I'm glad you asked that, Jay. They don't have to be boxing. Again, it's not about boxing. It's about the principles. It's about adapting what it is to be composed. In other words, if someone says something nasty to you, you want to strike back. You don't have to strike back. You can just be calm, and you'll be the bigger person, the bigger man, the bigger woman. You're in control. You just gotta just think, just pause, take a breath, pause.
Was there ever a time, like after you got beaten up as a kid, that you were faced again with that decision? Okay, do I fight back and defend myself, or do I run away this time and run fast?
It happened again, and I remember this so vividly. It happened again, like when I was like in junior high school. So I'm a teenager, and I was in the locker room in the gym, and some big guy, he pushed me against the lockers, and I knocked him out. I'm giving this advice, but it's just one of those things. I'm being honest.
And how did it feel to actually knock this guy out?
It was like, yes. But now, looking back in retrospect, I wish I had not done that. I wish I had tried to or attempt to say, hey, man, be cool. But I just reacted in the way I felt. And sometimes we can't control everything. I mean, be truthful. You can't control everything, but for the most part, you can control most things.
I think I can relate in some way to that story, because I was bullied quite a lot in school. And I remember going into high school, year 7, there was one particular kid who just had it out for me. He absolutely hated my guts, hated the way I looked. And I was only a short kid, so I wasn't that big, and I'm still not that big. I'm like only 5'7", so I'm a short, stocky kind of guy. But more so back then, right? I was a lot shorter. So he was a lot bigger. He was a fat kid. And there was one time I was standing at the basketball court just watching the guys play, and he comes up behind me and he jumps on my back. And then because I wasn't that strong, my back literally collapsed, and my 11th, 12th, and 13th ribs all decided to pop out. And I've struggled to get up, and because my parents, they always taught me, turn the other cheek, do the Christ thing, don't fight back, just, let it go. And I was so frustrated. I was so annoyed, so angry. So when I recovered from that injury, which took a couple of months, he tried bullying me again. So I thought, okay, stuff this turn the other cheek business. I'm going to do something about this bully, and hopefully he might never do it again. So one day at lunchtime, in front of the entire school, he comes up to me and he tries bullying me. So what I do, now keep in mind, I'm only a short guy, I decide to reverse slam him into the ground. So I pick him up, and for some reason I had the strength to do this. It was an amazing moment, and I felt incredible when I did it. I pick him up and throw him over my shoulder, reverse slam. His back hits the ground, not his head, thank God. Otherwise, it probably would have cracked because it was that hard. It was concrete ground, and he didn't move. He was stuck in that position. And I said to him, if you ever bully me again, I will do far worse. Don't test me. And then all the people in the school were cheering. I mean, keep in mind, it's only a small school, but they were like,
exact words.
I use those exact words, and I even wrote it in my new book. I remember it so vividly. Like it was. You just remember those times.
Remember those things, man. Yes.
You never forget it. But that was the only fight that I ever got into in school, and since, believe it or not.
No, and I mean, since that incident, it never happened again, Jay. It never happened again. And plus, I'm so opposite of what I used to do as a fighter. I'm shy. but I'm sociable, if that makes any sense. Yeah, I mean, I'm so different than I was in the ring.
Mm. Have you always been like that though?
I always was like to myself, reading comic books, watching cartoons. I was so animated in my head, in my heart, that I didn't ever think that these things could take place with me. As I was growing up, experiencing, and being in a new neighborhood, and the guys, they want to see how tough you are and everything. And that's really life, though. You live and you learn.
Mm. So, in your experience, what do you believe makes a real man?
What makes a real man? A real man is someone who is totally honest, but we do have to use sometimes our little white lies to whether to help someone or prevent something from happening. I mean, the world is not perfect, and that Jay, I'm glad you're asking these questions because I'm so hard on myself. It's like if my kid do something and my wife said, gonna punish him for 2 days, 2 weeks. I said, nah, baby, 2 days sounds okay. I'm just that kind of guy. That's my heart, man. That's how I am. But they say life is what you make it. That's so true. Life is indeed what you make it.
Mm. So, for a young person that wants to be more like you, Ray, wants to be this champion outside of the ring and even inside the ring, if they want to do that, what would you say to them?
That's okay. That's okay. In fact, my idols, Muhammad Ali, Bruce Lee, Elvis Presley, Sugar Ray Robinson. I mean, I had so many people that I looked up to, and I wanted to be like them to some degree. And they, because of who they are, because of their celebrity and what have you, God, it's made me a better person.
What has been your biggest fight, your biggest battle?
My biggest battle, internal revenue. No, that was a joke. That was a joke.
I was going along with it too, saying it's hard.
Income tax, because you looked at me like, what are you saying? What are you saying? My toughest battles, you were asking me, my toughest battles was when I retired one of many times from the boxing ring. I retired when I was like 25. And from a partial detached retina that I had suffered from in the ring. And I tell you, Jay, I was so lost, man. Not doing what I love doing, is boxing, competing against the best guys in the world, beating the odds and all this kind of stuff, training. Because the training, what I loved about training, and there was no shortcut. I trained so hard, and I choreographed the fights in my head and figure your strong points, your weak points. I missed that, man. That's what kept me clean. And so that's when drugs came into my circle. People that's when cocaine was really big time. And smoking a little bit here and drinking a lot. Had the worst hangovers and had those blackouts. So I wake up in the morning and look at my lady, and I said, and she's crying. I'm saying, what's wrong? She said, I can't believe you did that. I said, baby, I was just playing. I had no idea what she was talking about because I had blackouts. But I mean, I've been sober for going on 16 years now. So life is good. I do my AA meetings. And you know what? Check this out, Jay. First 15, 20 years ago, I would never say this to you. I would never talk about drugs and alcohol and this and that. But you know what, man? These things do happen. These things do happen. And I don't have to hide that because I'm proud of being sober now. I'm proud. So by me saying I'm an alcoholic can help someone else out, can help 1,000 people out, can help 1,000,000 people out. I'm all for that. giving back.
I personally believe that real strength comes when a man of your caliber, of your stature, is able to be vulnerable, is able to open up and share things that are very, very personal, because you're right, you're then able to help someone else. And you never know who is going to be helped. Like I was helped by you just saying that, because I feel the same way. And I personally, like, never done drugs, never smoked in my life, never drunk a drop of alcohol in my life, but I've gone through other things, gone through traumas, gone through abuse, gone through all this other stuff. And, you know, I came to this point where, okay, it's very personal to me, and I'm only 24 and I've been through all this, but I get it. There may be a younger person, there may be an older person that is still struggling. And how we can help others is having these kinds of conversations. So I appreciate you sharing, and you using real strength right now, Ray. Like, it's great.
Hey, Jay, I mean, let's get even deeper. I mean, I was even sexually abused when I was like a kid.
Same.
And I kept it to myself. I kept it for 40 some years or longer. Didn't tell my wife, didn't tell my parents, because I just couldn't find the strength to talk about something so ugly.
Yeah.
And when I finally did that. I finally talked about that. And you know what? I felt better, because it's like toxin, because you keep something inside of you, it rottens, it gets bad, and it takes you down. And when I talked about that, I had to take a deep breath, and because I thought people would think I was weak or punk and this and that. It was just the opposite. People came up to me, guys, big guys, strong guys, say, "Hey, man, it happened to me too." And they'll hug me, and they'll share a tear, and I'll share a tear. And it's you know what, Jay, it's a beautiful thing, man, when you let go of your own vulnerability and say, "Yeah, I can relate to you."
That happened to me when I was 6, and I called it living in a daze. So for a very long period of time, my brain cut it out. Like, it was non-existent and I think that was because of the trauma that I experienced.
Yep.
And it wasn't until very recently that I had these flashbacks, and I'm like, what the hell is that? That can't happen to me. Like, I didn't go through that. Not another man. He couldn't do that to me. No.
Yeah, same thing.
And then when I finally found out that it actually did happen, it all just came crashing down. I just had all these realization moments of all the past, who I am today really was because of that. Like, there's so many links in my life. And when I finally, I haven't really opened up too much about it, but I'm glad that I can do it now with someone that actually has experienced a similar thing, you know, because it is important. It is getting rid of that daze and facing up to it is probably going to be the ultimate fight of your life. It beats any physical altercation with anyone.
Any, yes.
Because it's the mental aspect. You've got to live with those scars for the rest of your life. And, you know, physical wounds, they heal. I mean, you're still going to bear the memory of them, but more deeply, the psychological aspects of trauma. And there's countless science and all that sort of stuff, wisdom behind how trauma really impacts, if you have it from a childhood, how it impacts you later on in life and how you see the world. So.
No, Jay, I tell you, what I just said to you just happened because I feel comfortable talking to you. I'm okay to talk to you about something that's so precious and so painful and so, unusual, well, not unusual, but so much so, it happens all the time. And we help each other. We need, we help each other.
100%. And I really, really feel comfortable talking to you as well, Ray. So this is going to be good. I want to shift the conversation into something that's a bit more upbeat, lighthearted, if we can. Yeah. So going to your fights for a moment, going to being in the ring, what was before a fight? I'm always curious what goes through a boxer's mind before they enter the ring.
Wow, that's what before I enter the ring, I'm in the dressing room warming up and everything, and I even pray. I pray before the fight, and I pray even as a amateur boxer, and I pray not to win, but no one gets hurt. That no one gets hurt, and I've done it for 100 years. But there's nothing like it. I mean, there's only a handful of times that I went into my locker room that I didn't feel 100%, and that's when it can get scary because you got to feel everything has to come into play. Everything has to connect, and sometimes when you're in the dressing room or locker room, you just don't feel 100%. I mean, this happens all the time, whether you go into work, your job, to school, whatever. Sometimes you just don't feel 100%. You with me? You just don't feel it. And that's when you have to overcome that mindset. You have to break it up and then say, all right, I'm here to win. I'm not here to lose. I'm here to win.
Mm.
Just like in life.
Mm. I think it was like Muhammed Ali. He had that focus. He was like, I'm going in this, I'm going to win, I'm going to knock you out. And he had that belief, man. Did you have the same belief as well?
Oh, absolutely. I learned so much from my friend, Muhammad. God bless him. It's because of him that my career soared, because he opened the doors for what was not available at one time for fighters, particularly, black fighters. Muhammad Ali was just he was bigger than boxing, man. They call him. He said he tells you I'm the greatest of all time. He is right. He is the greatest of all time, and not just in my book, but in everyone's book.
I mean, you have this incredible achievement of winning 5 world titles in 5 different weight classes, which. Why in the world would you do something like that? Can I ask you?
I challenged myself. I was welterweight, 147, and I fought this guy, Donnie Lalonde, who was a light heavyweight champion. And there was a vacant 168-pound title on the line, and we both wanted it. And he put his title on the line because he was so assured that he would beat me because he was a bigger guy. And I tell you what, this guy hit me so hard, Donnie Lalonde. Every punch he hit me with hurt. I mean, he just knocked me back, and he was just strong, and he actually knocked me down. And I remember the night before the fight, I had this premonition of some sort that I would be knocked down. And so now I'm in the ring, going 1 round, 2 rounds, 3 rounds, and I think around the 4th round, he knocked me down. And I said, well, that's it. I'm okay. Now I can do my stuff. And I ended up stopping him, knocking him out.
So what was it like losing, cutting the weight, gaining weight, and then preparing yourself for the fight? Like, you got to prepare yourself physically, also mentally. And then when the fight comes, and you get punched in the face, does every single punch hurt? I'm always curious. Or do you get numb to it?
I can punch you, Jay, if you want me to. To show you how it feels.
one day, please. I want to say that I got hit. I got punched by the legend.
The thing about boxing, if I hit you, you go out. You don't feel power. You don't feel pain. If I hit you in your nose, that's pain. That's pain. I hit you in the ear or temple, your equilibrium will go off. You'll be all unbalanced and what have you. I hit you to the body, that's pain. That's real pain. So, but you know what? We've learned to just be gladiators, be warriors, and you just have to, if you can, just deal with it. But take your time. Always be patient. Take your time. It's like be aggressive, but be patient.
Mm.
Don't just go in there. It's what they call the art of fisticuffs.
Mm.
It's not just one guy banging the other guy. You're setting someone up. You setting them up. You're positioning them. It's an incredible art.
Mm. And for those people that haven't watched any of your fights, the way Ray moves in the ring, it's beautiful. It's a beautiful movement. Like you're fluid, man. Like you know the next. It's almost like you know the next person's move, in a way.
Again, Jay. But it's like it's just a feel. I have a feel. I don't just try to dance to the right 2 times and dance to the left 5 times. No, it just happens. Mm. Your body, everything connects. Your muscles connect, your brain connect, your thoughts connect, and all this. And speed. You can't teach speed. You can teach somewhat accuracy, but you can't teach speed. That's a gift. Mm. I mean, like Floyd Mayweather, super fast. Muhammed Ali for heavyweight, super fast.
Yeah.
I mean, there's so many guys out there who is just so gifted. These young boxers today.
Mm. Where did your nickname Sugar Ray? Where did that come from?
Well, the number one guy, Sugar Ray Robinson, who was one of my idols. And my name is Ray Charles. Ray Charles is a legendary singer. Mm. I mean, when they said Sugar Ray, I mean that's what I want to be. I want to be just like him. Mm. And it was great, man. It was fantastic.
What was it like? A few more questions for you, if you don't mind, Ray. But what was it like fighting Roberto Duran?
I hated that.
I thought you might say that.
Oh, I hated him. But Duran taught me so much. Mm. And although I lost the fight, my first professional loss, he taught me so much about the brain and the mind. Mm. Taught me how not to get too upset because he said things about me, said things about my wife. He was just an animal, man. But he was smart. Yeah. Roberto Duran is one of the best fighters, boxers in the world. And they call him Roberto Manos de Piedras Duran, which means hands of stone. Jay, he hit me. I said, who else is in this ring? I mean, he hits that hard. I mean, Duran was a beast in that ring. Mm. But I came back like less than 6 months later, which was unprecedented because normally fights of that magnitude and that close, they don't fight like 2 months later, 3 months later, 4 months later. They fight like a year or so later. But I knew Duran's lifestyle. I knew his thing. So I said, let's fight in 6 months, 5 months. And the rest is history.
Mm. I think there was a movie about Roberto Duran and it included a fight between you and him. And
yes.
Like just watching the movie and I guess seeing Roberto's life from the start to the finish to fighting you. And then like how he beat you the first time and the second time he came back. And then it was a great movie. I was like hooked the entire time. I'm like, this is so good. But what captivated me was the second fight. The second fight, you came back. And
absolutely, yeah.
Bam.
Jay, I made a lot of money with Duran. Mm-hmm. And now I'm like, I'm excited and everything. And everyone's and Duran's like tall. He's like 5. How tall are you?
5'7".
Duran's like 5'6". And I'm like, this is a lightweight. This guy, he come 135, 132. I'm 147, 150, and I'm big. But that didn't make a difference. He was so quick and he was so elusive. I mean, slipping, sliding, through body shots. I mean, God, he taught me so much. I learned so much from my friend now, Roberto Duran. We support each other, foundations, whatever. I love him, man. He made me the fighter that I am.
I love that. Ray, my final question for you. This is my all-time favorite question. I think you might like it, but it's a hypothetical one. So I want you to imagine with me for a moment that you've been able to reach the age of 100. Your friends have decided to put together a film for you of everything you've ever said and everything you've ever done. Don't ask me how in the world they got it all. We'll call it magic for the sake of argument. And they've been able to get it, put it together, and show it to you on your 100th birthday. What do you want that film to say and to show about your life?
You know, it's plain and simple, Jay. You know, I've been blessed, incredibly blessed. And I made a huge impact in the boxing ring. I want to make even a larger impact outside the ring. And that's with my foundation, Sugar Ray Leonard Foundation, knocking out diabetes, just being somewhat of an inspiration to someone, whether it's one or 1,000 kids. And I'm not saying just boys and, fighters, everyone, life is a fight, and it's a fight we can win. We all need to come together.
That's a great way to sort of end that conversation, Ray. Where can people find you, connect with you, and learn more about the great Sugar Ray Leonard?
At sugarrayleonard.com.
Love that. Ray, thank you so much for coming on the Storybox podcast today.
Okay, but Jay, one last thing. Can we do a couple rounds when I see you?
Yeah, of course. Let's do it.
Hey, man.
I love it, man. Thank you.